Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of D3 Could Haves, a podcast where myself, Aaron Gale, and my co-partner Tyler Yan will dive into the different lives of D3 athletes versus Division 1 athletes.
Jordan is from Duquesne University, where he plays football. So I'll let him introduce himself.
My name's Jordan Heisey. Basically play football at Duquesne University. I'm a junior health science major. So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. So today our topic on the podcast is academic support, class schedules.
Played football growing up, played in high school. I'm originally from the Harrisburg area, so central Pennsylvania. Played high school football there. Out of high school, originally went to Lock Haven University, which is a Division II university in Pennsylvania. It's a state school. I played one season there, and then due to some coaching issues and things like that, decided to transfer. And Duquesne had been a school that I had liked, like I had visited when I was in high school, and I had liked it, and I knew they had a good program for what I wanted to do. So they gave me a roster spot here essentially. So I decided to come here in the spring of my freshman year. So one semester at Lock Haven, and then I've been at Duquesne ever since. So
Awesome. Take me through your class schedule, in season, out of season, how many credits they have you guys taking, and what kind of classes you're taking at Duquesne.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, like anywhere, it kind of depends on your major, but in general, I take basically on average like around 15 credits a semester. So right now I actually have 16. A lot of times what people do though is, and I've done this too, just not this specific semester, is like during football season, so the fall semester, they'll take a slightly lighter load, so like maybe 12 credits instead of 15. And I did this last year, 12 credits instead of 15, and then in the spring you maybe take one extra class, or even in the summer or winter, like intersessions, you take an extra class, so that way you don't fall behind, but it leaves you have a little bit more time during in season. And then the other thing that does make it a little bit tough for me is just being in the sciences. I do have to take labs. So like some of my teammates that are, business majors, finance majors, things like that, they might have the same amount of classes I have, but they don't have necessarily like the same labs and things. So that makes it a little bit of a challenge, but other than that, it's pretty normal.
Awesome.
Basically, for us as Division 3 athletes, our workload is about the same. It sounds like we have a minimum requirement of 12 credits each semester to be a full-time student and be enrolled in athletics. I know a lot of people try and take on average 16 because we offer each course here is 4 credits, so 4 classes, 4 credits, 16. Stay on track for graduation. A lot of times, most kids don't have to do what you guys have to do and take summer or winter term classes because we still have a good bit of free time in season and out of season, but we definitely have more similarities than I expected.
Absolutely. So the next thing I wanted to ask you was, so tell me a little bit about your support system. So whether that's tutoring, professor help, study halls, things like that. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously, like we have access just as students of the university, like to the different tutoring services on campus and stuff. But we do also have, we basically have like a separate academic advisor. So like you have your academic advisor through the university, and then there's an academic advisor like specific to the football team. So she's obviously really helpful. She does a lot of things with scheduling, and she'll like email professors about like like if you're going to be missing class and stuff. You're also responsible for doing that, but she's obviously a big help in that. And like if you have any problems with adding or dropping classes, or like just problems with a professor in general, she's a really good resource. I'm trying to think. Oh, study hall here, like on our team, every freshman has mandatory study hall hours every week. Because I was in a little bit different situation where I transferred in, I don't know what the exact requirement is, but basically if you maintain above a certain GPA, you don't have mandatory study hours unless you were to fall below that. So I've been above the GPA requirement, so I haven't had mandatory study hall hours. A decent amount, like I said, all the freshmen do when they first get here. And then the only other thing is our study hall, we have like access to, we have like a full academic center that we basically have like 24/7 access to. So if you don't want to go to the library or go anywhere else on campus, we do have that. That's like specific to athletes. So that's a nice place to go and get work done. But
That's awesome. Yeah, for us, it's a little different. Obviously, you guys have a little more resources than us. We don't have the academic advisor specific to athletics. We have our academic advisor through the university, but that's no different than, the freshman that shares your major that decides that he wants, the same academic advisor as you. That's awesome that you guys have that support system and that place to go if you don't want to go to the library. For athletes, we don't have that either. That's really cool. Yeah, so the last thing we wanted to ask was what your class attendance each week is. I know with football it might be tough, if you're going on a road game. What is your class attendance policy each week regarding, football and travel and all that?
yeah, so that's one of like the biggest differences between here and when I played at my other school is that we definitely just the conference we play in, the games are a lot further away usually. So a lot of times we'll be leaving on like Thursdays if it's a bus trip, Fridays if it's a flight, but usually like Thursdays for bus trips. And then so like missing class partially on Thursday and then all of Friday in those instances. But basically class is mandatory at all times, basically even if you have to miss meetings or practice or whatever. Our coaching staff doesn't excuse us from class for anything like that. Obviously with travel you do get excused, but you're responsible for making up any work that you missed. And you're also like the professors get sent an email from the advisor that like says that you'll be traveling to wherever this week and so you won't be in class, but you're also responsible for letting that professor know and like being timely, and they're usually pretty good about it as long as you give them a decent heads up. But yeah, class is usually mandatory right up until we leave for that trip. So even if we're leaving like Friday afternoon and you have morning class, like if you have class on Friday morning, you still have to attend that class basically.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same here. Like we're obviously a lot smaller school, and our coaches kind of preach all the time, academics come first, whether you have to miss a meeting or a lift or sometimes practices if we have to change up and have night practice or whatever. I know a lot of kids on the team try and work around their schedules. Like coach makes sure you're not scheduled classes from 4 to 6, which is basically the universal practice time. And then if you have an 8 a.m., we do morning lifts on our football team.
Yep.
So we said, like, if you have an 8 a.m., you're in the early group at 6 a.m. so that you can kind of work around it. And then it's kind of the same goes for professors. Like, if we know you're going to miss a Friday class because we're going on a road trip Friday overnight, it's up to you to get in touch with that professor, kind of talk to them. And then it's also same goes as figuring out whatever you missed. If you did have to miss something, it's on you.
Thank you so much for hopping on and taking the time to kind of share your experience and going from Division II to Division I school and kind of seeing that difference. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And next time for another episode of D3 Could Haves.